What's good, guys? It's your boy CS. I'm going to review what's happened in August as we are on the eve of breaking into September. And also, that's a nice segue to see where we might end up in September. So let's zoom out as we normally do, go into the monthly and see what's happened. So we're going to close today and... Sorry, we're going to close... Well, yeah, we're going to close today in the monthly. And it looks like we might end up here, 59,650 or 59,265, or worst case scenario, 57,595. Normally, the candlesticks align with where a previous close has occurred, so anywhere within this region ultimately. But one thing is for sure, we haven't closed above the 62,645 or the 62,070 region, which, you know, it's not the biggest alarm, it's not the biggest concern, but also it would have been nice to see Bitcoin close around there, right? And obviously this is the lifetime, so we can see we're actually closing around here either tomorrow. Right, in terms of spider line charts, I'm going to go through bearish sentiment and then bullish sentiment, right? So bearish sentiment states, and I'll just zoom out and look at this one, right? When there's a wick down, the usual passage of time dictates that we generally need to retest that wick region. And I'm going to show you what the monthly looks like in regards to spider lines, right? So when we have a wick down like this, we tested it the next month and we didn't do too well. We therefore had to test it again the following month. And then the following month, we didn't do too well and we tested it a fourth time. The fifth time we tested it and we actually ended up closing above. But then we've tested it again this week and it's not done so well. Sorry, on this month. And so by virtue of looking at, let's say, look, can you see this spider line here? 1, 2, 3. So the spider lines are the ones in white, right? We go through this region here. We go through this region here and this region. So we're going for 3 regions. Well, 4 technically. The previous month in July, we went through, well, kind of 1, 2, and 3. And then maybe a bit of a fourth one, right? Generally, within the spider line regions, you normally go through 2 regions like this one. 1, 2. 1, and then 2, this region. This one is 1 and 2. And then this one is this whole region here, this whole region here, and then kind of just came here. So it's like 2 to 3 regions. And so when we're looking at the bearish sentiment, why do we need to go and retest it? This is just how we know that there's strong support at certain levels. And as I always tell you, these support zones that I've drawn on from the spider line chart coincides a lot with what has happened historically. As you can see, look at this, acting as a massive support. I keep saying it every single time I go through these videos, but the spider line chart is amazing. And also, it coincides with the Fibonacci golden pocket ratio, which is at the 0.618. For those of you who have gone through baby pips or gone through a trading course, you'll understand what Fibonacci levels are. This golden pocket region is usually a great and fantastic buy region. And so if we were to come down, we need to show, the bulls would need to show strong support down here if the bearish sentiment is that we come down, right? And I want to show you a few things that kind of correlate with this, which is the USDT, the tether dominance chart. Now, I want to take all the noise out so that you guys can follow with me on a naked chart what happens, right? So let's start here. Massive wick. Came back down a few weeks, retested, yeah? Massive wick to the upside, retest a few weeks later. Massive wick, the wick, remember, is this one that doesn't have the hollow body candle. This is the wick, the thin line. One wick to the upside, and then demand in a couple of weeks later. Now, check this out. This is really fascinating, which is one massive wick to the upside at 4.1 6% level, not a single retest until August, and we come and eclipse it. Not only do we eclipse it, we go one further, and then the following 2 weeks, we show the demand levels of the wicks. Even that one that has the next week wick. Can you see where I'm going with this? Let's go with this one. 4.98% comes down a couple of weeks later. Wick. That's gone really high though, and then that gets the retest. Same thing here. Wick, following week, demand brought it down, and then it gets a final wick. This one takes 1, 2, 3, 4 weeks, 5 weeks until we rip, and then we get a massive one to the upside. But look, takes from June, the 13th of June, till the 7th of November. That's 3-4 months time to complete that wick. See how it shows you that there's a correlation, and that's what a lot of intermediate and advanced traders, and this is why they're so patient, they wait until we've retested that same area, and that's why they'll short the market. And then look, we'll have another one here. Another one, we had a retest, we had another retest, and we had another retest, right? Okay, and then we had one here, gone up, didn't come back, and now we've retested. You could say that's its own wick to the upside, but really what I'd be expecting is maybe in the next few weeks in September we get one final wick to see where that would take us, right? So around this region, and obviously you can see I've got my alerts on here to see when the tether dominance chart hits above here, because if we're looking at that, then we need to understand that this will correlate. Remember, it's inversely correlated to the tether dominance chart, and that could take us in anywhere around this region. A lot of people are calling for 48k, 44k. Like, chill your beans. First, let's see if the wick even gets past here. Let's see if there's enough demand here at 52k. You got to remember, historically, we've had support and resistance at this level, and the wick got ate up so quickly. You know, this wick definitely, in my opinion, if it is a bearish sentiment, needs to get tested. It definitely needs to get tested one more time. And so that's why a lot of the bears, advanced traders, and you see a lot of them putting on millions and millions of Bitcoin on the table to trade with, and they're in multi-million trades, are short. This isn't even astrology analysis. You know, the astrology has its own. I think, you know, there's a retrograde or something going on tomorrow for the 1st of September. But generally, if we're looking at from an analytical standpoint, wicks normally have to get tested. Normally. And with that, one thing as well within that, which is on the bear side, and remember, this is a bearish sentiment. We'll do a bullish one shortly, but we've said from the start, lower lows, lower highs, lower lows, lower highs, lower lows, lower highs, lower lows. The bears are arguing this is a lower high. And technically, right now, it is. Whatever gets posted here, though, is the next interesting bit. Because if this is a lower high, the trend is still their friend, unfortunately. The trend is still definitely their friend. But if we post a lower high here, sorry, what am I about? Lower high, lower lows is what I'm on about. So lower high, and if we post a lower low, then it's a bear trend. But if it's a lower high, then it could be a sign of a reversal and a massive demand for the bulls. And that's what we need to be looking out for. So note the correlation between the charts here, right? And if I now bring back the other sentiment, which is the rising wedge pattern, right? So some will call it a flag, which is the bears have come back down here, and then they're just like charging up. We've had 1, 2, 3 hits, 1, 2, 3 hits, and now we're breaking out of this zone. Or they would have said we've already broken out of this zone. Look at the turquoise colors, right? This is a wedge pattern. Ignore the horizontal lines. Just focus on this and look at the chart pattern. See this one? Any of these two you can kind of go for, but bearish wedge is what I normally, or rising wedge as I normally say. That's the pattern that they're looking at. Okay, that's what they're looking at. Now, a perfect segue into this is actually the pattern that I've got on that bearish wedge or that rising wedge hasn't actually broken out. Now look at the yellow lines and look at the turquoise lines. See the turquoise lines? Now look at the yellow lines. Granted, this one needs to come in a bit more there. Probably there. We've only just rejected 1 day so far, but I think if we go on the smaller time frame, we're very much still in the game here. Yeah, we're now kind of rejecting the outer shell of it. But, you know, by the end of the day, this could still end up within this pattern, right? So Bitcoin is holding on for dear life with the bulls. It doesn't necessarily mean that bears have won, but the bearish sentiment is, yes, they're winning. They're bringing everything down and also getting a good slapping as well from what I could see before. Yeah, quite a few of them are down quite bad. Wojak, Turbo's down, Ponky's down quite bad. So a lot of them are down quite bad, unfortunately. But if we now look at the RSI, and I share this within the VIP chat group, we'll now move on to a bullish sentiment, unless I can think of any other bearish sentiments. But we've now got what looks like a deviation to the upside where we may get another 4 hourly wave down that might bring us down to maybe 54k, 52k, depending on how rough the 4 hourly brings us down, if it brings us down, that is. But the bullish case is actually, this is great because it's on our new support trend line. And that only means one thing. We're going up. We're going very, very up. And if you can start seeing on these wave patterns, right? Ignore that one. Well, actually, that one will coincide with that, which is it's actually flicking up now. There's a flicker of a divergence. See this, how it's flicking up? There's a divergence. This wave has now got smaller and smaller, and this current wave is getting smaller. This wave, see how it's going like that? This needs to eclipse it. It'd have to come all the way down here, which would mean probably a massive nuke, more like a black swan event. See the divergence here on the 6 hour? 8 hour from here, from that 5th of August. See how it's playing out? And the 12 hour. And then the daily is still, unfortunately, coming down. And that somewhat is like the 3-day, which is still coming down. But it's showing signs of a reversal. And even on the weekly, that's now come down. Ideally, we would have wanted it a bit further down to give us a charge back up. But that's just the wave patterns on what they look like right now. Let me just put these back up. Okay. Now, if we go on to the descending broadening wedge pattern, like I said, this region around 52 to 54k is a massive region, because this could result in a inverse head and shoulders pattern. There is, one more thing I did want to mention on the bearish sentiment, which is if you look on the monthly, on every monthly candle, practically, apart from like maybe 1 or 2, we always have some type of wick down and up. You don't really get full body closes like that, as in that has like the tiniest of wicks. Usually you have at the start of a month it going down. It normally goes down. And also in America, I believe it's a public holiday, so the markets are going to be really dry, and it might even be a perfect time for a Sunday and a Monday dump, right? For the markets to just dump, and even on a Tuesday. So like 3 days in total. And I think actually the 3rd of September is again some astrology number where something might occur as well on that day. So maybe the stars are aligning. I don't know. I don't know for sure. But what I do know is that the bullish sentiment is showing that there is some type of divergence here. The unfortunate thing is that we need an impulse move up, and we need it drastically for Bitcoin, because unfortunately on the on the weekly, we've now dropped past that EMA, that 20 EMA, which I've told you historically, massive, massive support zone for Bitcoin. That's a real big blow to lose that 20 EMA. I mean, tomorrow we'll find out if we have fully lost it. But really, that's, massive blow to the bulls. In terms of the daily EMA, we just can't even get above the 200. Even today, we've had trouble even trying to touch it, to even get a little flicker. We've got nothing off it so far, literally nothing. However, we have on three previous occasions only stayed below the 200 EMA over the course of maybe 7 to 10 days, 3 to 4 days there, maybe 7 to 10 days there. And then we start making our move up. And here already it's been 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 days already. So we could have another couple of days and then Bitcoin might make its move because it is holding here quite well. The bears can't seem, at the moment anyway, to be pushing them any further down. But also on the smaller time frames, Bitcoin has got a rejection from that cluster. It got a 4-hourly rejection on the 20 EMA. And currently it is fighting, but it could get another rejection here. And so even on the daily, it's got to have a real big impulsive move to take out. And whether that's on the cards or not, well, this is the bit that I was going to show you next, which is if we go to the liquidation map and we now look at the 12 hourly, we can see that around that 59371 region, there's a lot of lighter green colors, which indicates there's a lot of leverage shorts around that region. However, conversely, if you go on the 24 hour, you can see this is a real battle now because there's a lot of longs that have got loads of longs that are on leverage around that 58695 region. We've just taken a few out, but if that gets the yellow zone, that could cause a chaotic dump to the downside. And Bitcoin could go to 57K instantaneously. And also, if you look at the upside, for the bullish sentiment, Bitcoin can go to around 60.8K within a flash candle because all those shorts are up there too, right? Now, if we extend this to the 3-day, actually, the shorts above look like they're more in trouble than the longs below, because if you look here around this region, see how the candlesticks the colors are now to the left of the candlestick. That means all these have been liquidated. Oops. And so all that yellow to the left, they've all been liquidated. What is below are the new longs that have come into the zone. And so if I'm looking at this, I'm thinking, wow, there's a lot more upside to taking a long here. And just how Bitcoin is actually holding out here, it might indicate that this is a good buy zone. And if we look at the current liquidations, well, in the past 24 hours and even in 12, 4 and 1 hour, there's a lot of longs that keep getting wrecked over and over because it's very hard to trade a sideways, choppy market. And so right now, it's anyone's game. It's anyone's game. At the end of the day, let's even look at the 5-minute. A lot of people are taking longs right now. There you go. Maybe just dragging them in, bringing them in. Hence the reason why when we looked here on the, I think it was the 12 hourly. Yeah, as you can see, there's a lot of yellow now that has built up below. So a lot of longs have built up below, and we could go either way, up or down very quickly in an instant candle. The final thing I wanted to look at was actually two things, which is the Nikkei and the SPX and the Dow. Well, the Nikkei's been bouncing off the daily EMAs and looks really, really positive. It's actually posted a second week above the red 20 EMA, which is so positive. And you got to remember, Bitcoin does correlate to them eventually. It's actually hit an all-time high, the SPX, but nobody's really talking about that. Well, on the weekly it shows it is. But everything else, like the Dow Jones, the US 30, that's at all-time highs. The Nikkei's obviously going to post probably in the next couple of weeks an all-time high. It's not too far off now. And so this is where I'm at, which is Bitcoin is playing a catch-up game. It's playing very much a catch-up game where, yeah, there might be a slight dump, but we are where we're supposed to be within the cycle right now. Okay, and then, like I mentioned on the previous, or one of the very first things that I discussed, which was, you know, when we get wicks, we normally test them. So, you know, this wick to the upside on the dominance, everyone's like, oh, it's going to curl through. It's going to curl now. It's going to curl. Like, chill your fucking beans out, bruh. Like, chill your beans out. Because we went past this 58.49% level and wicked up here, came back down, wicked up, and then wicked up all the here. Granted, this is a bear market, and I fully appreciate that. So I understand that. And so we'll go into a bull market. We wicked up here, right? Came down for like a mini alt season and then wicked and got the final wicks up here. Then we came down. And look at that. We came down in January 2021. So this is a full year and 1 month, 11 months into the technical bull market cycle. We've then posted alt season. And so you need to have a bit more patience because this is August's candle. September could go there. October, November, December, January. It could even be longer for all we know, right? But when it does occur, and you've got to look, I've got these 3 white lines here, right? They're all buy alerts for when the dominance does hit around here. Because that's where I'd be looking for when we get wicks above here to start taking out longs and hold those longs throughout the bull cycle or throughout alt season, shall we say. This is the perfect way to do it. Stop following other people that are enticing you and FOMOing you in and getting you wrecked straight away, going 100x long. It's not worth it, bro, because at the end of the day, where we're at within the cycle, there's still this to retest. Look at this zone. We always come and retest these zones, this purple zone. I know I've got these 3 hyphen lines, which my alerts are, but if you look at it, this purple zone, right? We chill around here for a bit. Like, my monthly doesn't do it actual justice, but we chill around here for a bit. Remember, this is a 2016, 2017 is alt season. Yeah? This is the end of alt season in December. And you see how we just chilling around here and we go up. Nobody's really willing to have that talk, but all these, and when I say moon boys, these aren't even the astrologist. I'm talking about moon boys now who just think it's going to pump. Chill. Like, have some patience, because even though I don't want, I'm not a perma bear or a perma bull, I have to flip my bias and say the bears are in control here. Yes, we technically could get a wick, and that will corroborate with what's going on with that level on Bitcoin around 49k, where the wick goes all the way down. We could see some retests around there because of what the dominance shows us, the tether dominance, and what this Bitcoin dominance chart is showing us. Remember, everything corroborates with one another. And so this is where we're supposed to be and what we need to be in. And you got to remember, like, alt season happens fast. Look how quick this to the downside happens. It happens in a matter of weeks. Like 5 to 6, not 5 to 6, but 10 weeks, right? It happens very quickly. And look, this is my box here of when to get out. And I've had this for a while now, and it just makes total sense of when alt season will be and how it will commence. So yeah, guys, that's all I think I've got for you on this one. As we know, Bitcoin's just chopping and changing. It's going up and down, up and down. It's not even worth taking a long or a short here. I mean, if you are going to take a long, do it do it as a DCA position now. No more scalping in that sense. You want to look for the big gains because we are heading into September. If there is a move down, DCA in. And remember, the longer you hold, the higher the gains that you'll accumulate in the alt season, in the bull season. And you'll make life-changing gains. Trust me, you will. Crazy gains that you won't even believe yourself. But yeah, that's where we're at. We shall keep an eye on this. Position yourselves accordingly. And remember, September could bring us down a bit. And then we could, if it comes down in the first few days or the first week or so, quite heavily, comes straight down to 52k, I think that's it. I think that's it. We're done with. Because if we post something around here, technically, we've now got our inverse head and shoulders. So left shoulder, head, right shoulder, anywhere here. And if we post that, best believe that will be getting swallowed up by many of experienced longs and traders. All right, guys, hopefully that was good. We'll keep an eye on the chart tomorrow and see where we're at. See you in the next one. Peace.